In tonight's Pulse of the Nation, we examine not just the current political mood, we also are taking a then and now look at things. I thought that would be fun to do tonight. And what we see is pretty foreboding for the Democrats. And to help us understand this, well, our good friends at CNN. In January 2020, 55% of respondents thought things were going very or fairly well in our country. Today, under Biden, that figure is just 29%. Now, in January 2020, Trump had a 55% approval rating on the U.S. economy. Today, Biden is at 37%. And at the end of 2019, before COVID, a whopping 76% of Americans thought the economic conditions in the country were good. Well, today, only 25% of the country. Joining me now is Mark Penn, former Clinton advisor and Pollster and Fox News contributor, as well as Tom Bevan, co-founder of Real Clear Politics. Mark, the country is saying it pretty clearly. They don't like this economy. They don't care how the Biden team is spinning it. And they keep saying the same thing. And they keep thinking on the Democrat side, this is a messaging problem. Where does this end up?
Well, I looked at this recently, and look, people are really upset about inflation. They feel their purchasing power, particularly in food and gasoline prices, has really been eroded. And they're giving the president about a 35% rating on the economy. But that doesn't mean a year from now, when really people have attitudes that go to the election, will be the same. As your polls point out, voters can change a lot. In '96, for Clinton, we changed it about 180 degrees in the 6 months. So right now, things look quite bad for this administration and the economy. But a year from now, who knows?
Okay, but Mark, well, wait a second. You had Bill Clinton, one of the best politicians we've seen in the past 50 years in American politics. So comparing Clinton to Biden, who's still trying to find his way off a stage, I'm not sure that's an apt comparison, but I give you kudos for actually trying to make that comparison. All right, Bevan, on another interesting note, Republicans are outperforming Biden on the handling of the economy, specifically Kevin McCarthy and his leadership by about 9 percentage points. Again, given the fact that the economy is the #1 issue in every single poll, is that significant?
Yeah, sure. I think it is. I mean, the economy in this poll was the #1 issue by 4 to 1 over the next issue on people's minds, almost 50% of people. So it remains the dominant figure and will be for the foreseeable future, unless something happens, some event happens in the next year. The economy is going to be what this election is about. And so for Republicans to have an edge on that, as Mark said, it could change, obviously, depending on what happens. But for right now, they are in better shape than Biden right on the economy.
Now, the energy prices are going back up, courtesy of the Saudis. Mark, CNN, of all places, seems to be kind of realizing that maybe their candidate isn't the best. Watch.
We don't know how solid a candidate Joe Biden is.
We know he's not a solid candidate.
Exactly.
He is struggling. I mean,
within his own party.
It is hard to watch, right? Why is Joe Biden running for re-election? I mean, this is crazy. Mark,
do the Democrats have any other realistic options at this point? I mean, everybody seems to want different choices here, I guess, but anyone else out there?
Interestingly, Joe Biden seems to be consolidating his support among Democrats. He's in the 60+% range. When I ask now, who do you want to be the Democratic nominee? He's scoring much higher than, say, Donald Trump is in the Republican Party. So no, I don't think there's going to be another switch here within the Democratic Party. If anything, he seems to be consolidating the Democrats, and the action is going to be over in the Republican Party. Is Trump going to really consolidate him, or is the Republican Party going to fragment?
Let's talk about what happened with Obama's conversation recently, as reported, that he was basically telling the Democrats and Biden, don't underestimate Trump. Now, again, Obama's one of the best political candidates we've seen in the last 50 years as well, commenting on Trump that way. What did that tell you, Tom?
Well, I mean, we see a lot of chatter about this. I mean, look, the national polls right now, for what they're worth, are within a point of each other. Biden has a less than 1 point advantage against Donald Trump. And that's nationally. You look at some of these swing states, and it's probably even closer. So I think everybody realizes that a Biden-Trump matchup is going to be a very, very close election, just like 2020. It's going to come down to the same states, a handful of votes, and it's going to be hand-to-hand combat. And I think anybody who thinks that Donald Trump doesn't have a chance, even if he's indicted, a fourth time, even if he perhaps is convicted and is on appeal, I think they're deluding themselves. These bases are really locked in right now, and it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future.
All those unpaid parking tickets, those are going to come due as well. So we'll see how that affects the election. Mark and Tom, good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.